Hi, everyone. It's Norman Kochenek here once again on Eyes on Cricket with our regular show, which will be on the whole of this week, leading into the first inaugural match of matches, the so-called World Test Championship from the ICC for 2021. The winner will be forever recorded in history as being the first to win this championship. And I met Saban. We've got Saban here, of course, that cricket guy, and Nilakshi Sharma. You can be that cricket girl if you want to. Maybe that's what we should do. You got that cricket guy. Maybe you should have a YouTube channel called That Cricket Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Exactly. So Munchie's here. Nilakshi, you need to move a little to your left, please. Exactly. Move to your left. Munchie's right.
Yeah.
I was about.
Now.
That's it. Good on you. Good on you, Munchie. Good afternoon, Munchie. We're glad you're here.
Hi,
So,
Manchi.
so Munchie's been very busy and he's been great for us in a lot of ways. Now, I am very, very surprised at a few things today. And I'll talk about what I'm surprised about. But in particular, the way in which New Zealand seems to have picked their 15-person squad and India hasn't. I'm a bit confused. They should be given the same protocols to do it together. I don't really, I mean, there's no real big deal, but I do think there needs to be consistency in the way they announce squads, teams, especially for an event of this stature. There should be an ICC protocol to say, here are the two teams and their 15-person squads. Not one doing it, one not. I don't know what you guys think. I think it's a matter of respect, not only to both teams, but to the viewers. We'd like to know up front what's going on. This is a very, very important match. And I'm going to repeat that a billion times because there are billions of people going to watch this. Australians are already talking about it on the streets. I'll be putting together a video tomorrow about all the people here who are going crazy. That the interest levels, because it's a World Cup. It's not just a World Test Championship. It's a World Cup. I think they missed the beat there a little bit. They should have called it the World Cup Test Championship. They should have used the word cup. Do you understand what I mean? Because you've got the World Cup 50 over, the World Cup T20, correct?
Yeah.
Well, I believe this to be a World Cup as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they've obviously had some, whiz-bang media person telling them they've got to call it World Test Championship. Well, it should be, it's the same thing. It's ordained by the ICC. All the top teams are involved, correct?
Yeah.
They've played off, whether good or bad. It's still a World Cup Test Championship. That's the way I like to call it. And I think they missed that. But that's okay. We'll get through all this. We'll get through that. Munchie's saying there are a lot of thunderstorms building up in the Bay of Biscay and moving up to the south of England. Lots of different forecasts, very unpredictable. I'm not letting myself worry about the weather. Why? Because we've got 6 days effectively. And I do not think this match will go 5 days under sunny weather. I actually think the bowling of both sides will dominate, not the batting. Yeah. And when a bowling outfit dominates both sides, or one side for that matter, it tells me that the match will go very quickly. Not necessarily 3 days, perhaps 4, but certainly not more than that, I think. Because, and I want your thoughts, Nilakshi and Savan, on that. If you've got two teams with...
Sorry. Have you heard Simon Lee? He's the curator. He said yesterday that he's aiming to produce a pacey and bouncy pitch, and with the assistance of spinning in the later of the game.
Yes, definitely heard that. Definitely heard that. But you understand, correct. I don't even think it matters about the pitch as much. It's about who they're going to use to bowl. Jadeja and Ashwin in tandem on any pitch when they're in form will be deadly. And I think we're forgetting that. And the New Zealand pace attack will be also deadly. So I cannot see India or New Zealand excelling with the bat. What do you think, Samal?
Norman, absolutely. When India toured New Zealand, we saw 3.5 test match, 3.5 days test lasting. I guess India played 2 test matches and it was over I guess in 3.5 days. So yes, definitely the bowling attack of India with the four seamers and one spinner, and New Zealand the same, four seamers and one spinner. I think yeah, definitely the ball will dominate bat. But Norman, are you happy with this? This is a Test Championship final. We need proper balance between bat and ball. But here, what I can foresee, there will be contest between ball versus ball rather than ball versus bat.
Yeah, okay, I do see your point. The only thing I need to say to that is a good Test match. We want to see grinding batting, difficult conditions, overcoming the good bowlers, and a batsman excelling, scoring a century. Yes, I agree with you. But we're dealing with England in June. The allocation of time and venue is ordained sometime in advance. With the whole onset of COVID, there's been a lot of problems with that. Had it been at Lords, it may have been even different. Who knows? But the reality is, I get your frustration, but this is the way the match is going to pan out. We must move all negatives aside. We must all move all thoughts of, is it going to rain? Are the bowlers getting an advantage? Has New Zealand prepared more than India? We're going to forget all that. We're going to forget all that, and no one should be using any pre-thought of excuses. Should be going into the match saying, this is a final, and we're going to win it. All cards on the table. One match. And I'll never, ever accept 3 matches. Never. That's rubbish.
No.
Can you imagine how frustrating that would be to have 3 matches?
3 matches, exactly. Yeah.
Because really, what happens if one team wins the first 2? Well, the third one's a waste of time.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you have 1 all, well, the third one still is the final, isn't it?
Yes.
So I don't see any benefit in having 3 matches at all. I think it has to be 1 match.
And I think,
Go ahead.
Norman, I guess there's a statement from ICC once Ravi Shastri raised the point of why can't we play 3 Test matches. So I guess there's a statement from ICC, and they said it's a logistical nightmare, and the FTP programs and everything. It's very difficult to host 3 games. So yeah, I get the point from where the ICC is coming from. Even I think the same. It's a logistical nightmare, and 3 Test matches, and I think it will be very difficult to arrange. And it's rubbish. Even I feel the same.
And I guess imagine if a player gets injured in the first match. Well, then it's a disadvantage for the next 2. There's so many. Both teams are going to throw everything into this match, dive for everything, bowl their hearts out, bat their hearts out, play with injury, play through injury. That's a final.
Yeah.
Not hold back for the second match, hold back for the third, bring it up. No, that's rubbish. Any sport. I want to see people get injured and play through injury. I want to see people, sweat to the point they almost have to vomit because they bowled so much. I want to see that. I want to see drama. I want to see attrition in this match. Test cricket is a war of attrition. And that's when imagine the days when they played endless Test matches, limitless days. Can you imagine one team scoring 700, other team scoring 700? That starts to wear them both physically and mentally. I love that. That's what this is all about. So they've given one great thing to give a 6th day. I think that's magnificent. That's more than enough days. Even if they have 2 washout days, this match will finish in 4. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And having heard your point, Siddharth's not coming today, Ray. Ray must be in love with Siddharth. He keeps asking about Siddharth. Now,
I'm getting a call from my office. I will join again. I will rejoin.
Yes, please.
I will just, yeah.
You're going to rejoin. Okay, all right. Yeah. So, but someone has a call from his office. So, Nilakshi, what did you do you did some homework, didn't you?
Yeah, just a bit.
So tell us about what have you got to say?
Norman, what do you think? What would be New Zealand's greatest threat against India?
The greatest threat of New Zealand against India? Well, I'd have to say they're bowling and probably Tim Southey.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 1, I would keep Saudi, because you see, Saudi versus India, he took 39 wickets and his average is 24.46. So it's really excellent, you know. So Team
Absolutely.
Saudi would be number 1 for me, and number 2 would be I think Williamson. What do you
So,
think?
okay, so you're saying that 39 test wickets is what Southey has taken at average
Yes, against
24.46, was it?
average.
Amazing. That's extremely good. That's very, 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 very promising stats. And you look at Southey, but you can also include Bolt's ability to bowl swing balls and cutters as well.
Sorry?
And then Wagner. And I think Siddharth said yesterday or the day before, all 4 of these bowlers bring different variety to the game and bring different points of excellence. But Southey's the lead bowler.
I
He
think
proved it. He got 6 wickets.
yeah. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay. What were you saying?
Yeah, you said Team Saudi will be
Yeah,
better than
there's no doubt. Tim Southey,
you-
he got 6 wickets in the first match, the first innings. Was it the first innings or second? I can't remember now. But he was excellent in the first test. The second match, well, he was rested, wasn't he? So I think he's in great form. Now, Gaurav Kumar is asking me, which team are you supporting? I'm not really meant to be supporting anyone, but if I'm going to say someone, I'm going to say India, because I think India probably deserve the opportunity to win this, but it will be very interesting to see what happens. Okay, before you talk, Alex, I'll get Munchie's comment. I don't think Kane will be a factor. Conway is the one in form. If the pitch has bounced, then Jamison will be a factor, as will Wagner. True. I would agree. Conway, you know, and I would really, really, really like to see Will Young play. Munchie, make your comments about Will Young. Do you think Will Young should play this match? Yeah, and I agree with Patel Gamers. He says the Black Caps are going to go with 4 pure fast bowlers, plus Jamison or Granholm. I think it will be. Well, if you say 4 pace bowlers, it's going to be Southey, correct? No, actually, Southey, Bolt, Wagner,
Team
and
Saudi.
Jamison.
Yeah.
And then who would be the 5th bowler?
These are the bowlers. Who would be 5th bowler? I think it will be Azaz Patel or Grantham.
Yeah, I think it'll be either one. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that.
For me,
I think that will be the case.
And Jamison, you forgot.
I think. Yeah, I think the reality is that Quick Legends is asking quickly, any chances of Angsar to be included? I don't think so. With Jadeja and Ashwin there, they won't be using Angsar. It'll be quite a shock if they put him in. Yes, he's sold and should be bat 3 as well. He's sold in bat 3. I could see Nichols or Taylor drop. I agree with Munchie. I don't think Taylor will go, but I think they may move Nichols on and they may put Will Young in there because his form has been amazing. And I agree with Munchie. Granholm is a stronger batsman.
I think
And
for
I would
me,
also be
the
surprised.
openers will be, I think for me, the openers will be Tom Latham and Conway.
Oh, no doubt. But Will Young might be number 3.
Then third will be Williamson, then Ross Taylor, like that, then Nicholas.
Yep, very good points. The only question is whether they'll put Will Young in there. I just want to see what I've got here.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they will go with the experience that is the best. They will go with the experience. Maybe. I think they. But see, India's likely to bat with experience. They're going to have Gill, Sharma with Pujara, then Kohli and Rahane with Punt. New Zealand will not want to lose out on having Ross Taylor there, for sure.
Instead of Gill, they might also choose KL Rahul because he has a lot of experience.
Yeah. Who would you drop, though, if you're going to put KL Rahul in there? That's the question. It's very difficult to imagine KL Rahul getting a Guernsey ahead of some of the other players. All right. Before I get to Munchie's question, this is a very, very good question. England versus New Zealand series could have been held after the World Test Championship final, said Sachin Tendulkar. Do you agree with this? I actually think that's not a bad point. Why do we give New Zealand the ability to play warm-up test matches before the World Test Championship? Why did one side get that favouritism? I would say that's probably a fair point. And I think that, I can understand that point. But so I would argue that, that's...
Absolutely, I agree. They should just, it's a big tournament, and they should keep their cards close to their chest,
Yeah, I agree.
Already.
Yeah, Sachin Tendulkar's right. They could have easily played those 2 test matches between New Zealand and England after the match, after the World Test Championship. So, all right, timing is bad. England has T20 and 100 matches. Oh, God, the 100. I'm not a fan of it at all. And any T20 matches like the Vitality Blast, poorly timed. But okay, I've got to be fair. To England, they've got to have the chance. Yeah, Deveraj said he told you only the rain is going to save New Zealand. Let's hope that's not the case for either side. Taylor is certainly looking too scratchy for me as well, but it's Ross Taylor and it's a final. He could produce not unlike what perhaps Coley could do. So would you leave Coley out? No. Would you leave Ross Taylor out? No. It's a difficult one, very hard one. Unless Ross Taylor offers himself not to play, I don't doubt that. So, okay, let's have a look at some of the questions here. Cricket Legend says 2 spinners and 3 paces or 4 paces plus 1 spinner. What is India likely to do? Who do you think are the bowlers for India, Lakshi?
Yeah, I think number 7th will be Jadeja, then Shardul, then Bumrah, Shami, and Siraj. And if not Shardul, then they will pick Ashwin. If they want to pick 2 spinners, then Ashwin will replace Shardul. Because you see, we have to. Then if we have the advantage, then we will have the advantage of batting that till number 8.
I can see why you want to put Shardul in, but I can't rule out Shardul. It's a good point, but I think they're likely to play 2 spinners, which means Ashwin Jadeja, which will then mean Bumrah, Shami, and Siraj, and/or Ishant, depending on the way they go. That's my thoughts as well as yours.
Yes, I think the same. But if it's not a spinning track, then it would be a waste to pick 2 spinners.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, you've got interesting comments here. Patel Gamers is saying Harry Nichols' ICC Test ranking is 8, better than Pujara and Ross Taylor. Interesting. I think Taylor should play easy for India. Well, that's a cheeky comment there, and there's some validity there. If he gets out easily, well, then that's good. But Ross Taylor deserves to be there. It's a final. He's a champion through many eras. He probably deserves to be there, let's be honest. I mean, I can't see him not playing. But yeah, Tendulkar's point before when he said they should have played these 2 test matches between England and New Zealand after the World Test Championship, I think that has merit. And would that have meant bringing forward the World Test Championship dates to an earlier date? Well, that wouldn't have been necessarily bad because both teams could easily have been there. So I can see that point as well. All right. Munchie, it's a final. No room for sentimentality. Okay. All right, Munchie. I get your point. But okay, Munchie, you're saying that we should drop Ross Taylor and put Will Young in. I applaud that. I do. But I think it's going to be, is it going to be Nichols first? It's an intriguing one. Because if you're talking about form for Ross Taylor, at the moment, Kane Williamson isn't batting well either. He hasn't scored runs for a number of innings as well. So if you look at the two, Ross Taylor and Williamson, in fact, Taylor got a 50, didn't he? And one of them actually got 80, in fact. So you'd argue, is Williamson going to be dropped then? Munchie, on the basis of your theory, they'll drop Williamson. Well, no, that's not going to be the case. Munchie, I agree. Munchie, I agree with your comment that I would play Young. I agree with that. Okay? I would agree with that. And I've already said that he should be there because on form, he probably is the one thing on there. Gaurav Kumar, I've already said that I said my heart is India, my head is New Zealand, but I think India will win. Do you think that only one match? Pranav, we already discussed this. Yes, one match is more than enough. A 3 test minimum is not going to happen for a number of reasons. Okay, it's just logistically, it's meaningless because if the team wins the first 2, they won all 3, and if they draw, they equal the first 2, then it's a one match game anyway. No, I think one's more than enough, and it should be winner takes all. So please, guys, if you're asking questions again, you might want to check about whether the questions have been asked. Manu John's joined us. And yes, New Zealand are in form. They're in full form. I agree with that. The positive side, they've beaten England. They've pushed themselves up to number 1. Haven't they, Neil, actually? Number 1 is now New Zealand at the moment, rankings-wise. 2 is India.
Yeah.
3 is Australia. I don't get that. And 4 is England. It's a strange one, for sure. All right.
3 is Australia.
Well, I mean, Australia don't deserve to be 3rd. They're not played well enough at all.
Then,
so Shami, lack of form in the IPL, proved to be a matter of concern for India. I agree. So there's a good chance that Shami will not play. But then Siraj and Ishan could easily play with Bumrah as the 3 within Jadeja and, of course, Ashwin. And it looks as though Kohli's made it pretty clear with Ravi Shastri that they want Siraj in. They did say Shami as well. It's a hard one. What if the major game time is halted by rain? What happens then, sir? Well, we've talked about that already. It has up to, if we lose a day's play, there'll be a 6th day of play. But if it's say 2 days, I can't imagine them bringing the 7th, but I think they should. But realistically, this test match will be over in 4 days of play. They can have longer days. They can start earlier and finish somewhat later as well. A draw, we don't want to even talk about a draw. I know it's a chance, but I don't want to talk about it. Young is deadly, and so is Conway. Both are very hard to predict. Yeah, I would say that the lack of exposure of the Indian bowlers to both Young and Conway could be significant. That's why I think they both should play. India will not go. I'm pretty sure India will not go with 4 paces. I'm pretty sure they're going to. Jadeja and Ashwin are both going to play. There are Max. I totally and utterly disagree with you. New Zealand is not overrated. They've beaten England just now. They've done very well to get in there. They deserve to be. They're got one of the best bowling lineups. And Australia did not play well for some time. So no, I disagree with you. Ross Taylor is underrated batsman. He has supreme talent and will be heading into the final with a confident 80-odd not out against England. That's correct. He did score 80 in his last performance. Kane Williamson has not scored runs. So based on form, you're going to drop Williamson then. That's not going to happen either. So Taylor's not going to be dropped. I can assure you of that. If anyone's going to go, it's going to be Henry Nicholls, and he's batted well too. So Will Young is going to find it hard to be in the side. Put it this way, it's a good position for New Zealand to be in because they've got too many good players, haven't they? All right.
Yeah.
Haven't they? So there's a women's test match between India, of course, and England starting tomorrow. I think it's in Bristol. And that's also pretty significant. And it's lovely to see both a World Test Championship, a World Cup of Test cricket, and a women's test match. 2 very positive things showing strength of character behind Test cricket. I'm very happy about that.
And meanwhile, Ajinkya Rahane is giving tips to women cricketers.
Who?
Rahane is giving some tips.
To the women's cricket team. That's correct. He was with some of the Indian women, and it's good for them because they've exposed to the Indian men and their tactics and everything. Okay, let's have a look at Patel Gamers. I wish you had another name, but Latham Conway, Will Young, I think that's a good selection. Williamson, Ross Taylor, Watling, Jamison, Henry, Bolt, Wagner, Southey. So you've left out Jamison there. I know you have put Jamison in. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's no spinner on that side. You know what, Patel Gamers? I don't mind your side at all. I think, to be really honest with you, I kind of agree with your side. I think Bolt, Southey, Wagner, Jamison, Henry, that's 5 Test bowlers. Williamson can bowl a bit of spin. Will Young and Conway are in it's not David, it's Devon. I actually really don't think that's a bad side. I think it's risky, not risky, but it's dropping Nichols and dropping, a spinner, which they say is not the way to go. But I actually don't mind that side. I actually don't mind that game.
Yeah, but don't you think they will choose a spinner on their side?
Yeah, I don't think they will. What have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's actually got 10 players. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like he's got 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's got 10 players. So yeah, you need to put in the ground home probably. Hang on, how many players has he got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There is 11 there. Okay. Yeah, but it's a slightly weak batting book. I mean, look, Kyle Jamison can bat under the circumstances. But if Will Young and Conway take the lead, it's an impressive team. I don't mind that. I don't mind that selection at all. I think there's some merit there. Okay. I'm pretty much, that's pretty good there. So look after my health, mate. I'm fine. It's cold here. It's freezing cold in Sydney. Freezing
and it's
cold.
so hot.
Where you are? Elbow cough.
Yeah.
There's no one here. And secondly, Australia's got 0 COVID cases for days. 0. Not just 1 or 2 or 5,000 or 10,000. 0. There's no masks. There's no protection needed at all. We're very, 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 very lucky.
That's good.
Oh, very lucky. Trent Bolt said that Test series win over England won't count for much in a World Test Championship final. Do you agree or not? Yes, I do totally agree. Because the England matches before, although it's great that New Zealand beat England there, it was great practice, all of that. But the big game, the big kahuna, the big payday, the Test Championship, the ultimate moment is the World Test Championship. If they lose that and they've beaten England, it'll be of no consequence because they missed out their chance. There's a lot of teams, but okay, there that looks pretty much. There's AJ's. No, I don't agree with that, but that's just my thoughts. The Indian side, let's have a look. Yeah, so the leaked video clip we're talking about there did talk about both Siraj and Shami. So if both Siraj and Shami are in and then Bumrah's in, Ishant's going to have to be dropped. You would have to not dropped, left out with the 2 spinners play. We might even have a bombshell. Maybe Bumrah may not play. Maybe Bumrah might be out. Maybe Bumrah's not fit enough. There may be doubt about his fitness. We don't know. We just don't know. India may surprise us in the bowling department. The batting department, there's going to be no surprises. The batting department is very, very clearly both Sharma, Gill, Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, Punt. That's settled. And then Jadeja, I believe.
If you see just the difference between New Zealand and the India's bowlers, then it's almost equal. If you compare Trent Bolt with Jasprit Bumrah, then you see Trent Bolt has taken 34 wickets since 2019, whereas Bumrah has taken same 34 wickets, and their averages. Bolt's average is 29, but Bumrah's is 20. It is almost equal.
Yeah, the stats are very good, what you're suggesting there, Nalakshi. But when it comes down to it, that all goes out the window and it comes down to what happens on that test match day. And I think we're going to see some great bowling efforts from both sides. And the batters are going to be up against it. And I hope like hell that Indian batsmen have learnt to let the ball go, because they're going to be peppered outside off stump with good delivery. So they're going to be ready for it. And if New Zealand go with 5 bowlers of pace, or 4 pace and 1 with greater gun, they're going to be barraged. It's going to be very interesting what happens. It's going to take a great deal of skill. Pujara is going to be extremely important, because if he can keep up one end, he'll survive a long time and hopefully blunt the rest of the batting from the situation and blunt the bowling attack. It's saying in the practice match, Ishant did well. He probably will play. Ashwin might be dropped. Adesh is a better batsman. What do you think? Okay, Jai Baba, I'll make this really clear. What happened in the trial match means 0. Good practice. They all scored a lot of runs. It just shows to me that the bowlers went bowling at their absolute peak, or I don't know what, but it doesn't prove to me that that's going to be the form that's necessary. It won't be based on that form at all. I'm pretty sure it's also the mental strength. So Bumrah might not play. There's a chance that Bumrah's not fully fit. He may not play. They may see that Ishant Sharma, Shami, and Siraj are in the right position physically and potentially mentally to bowl. Because Bumrah is particularly good bowler, we know that. But is he necessarily good on swinging pitches, or is he good on hard, bouncy pitches or hard Australian-like conditions? It's interesting to see what the story is there. I'm not exactly sold on Bumrah. Everybody else is. I don't understand that. But all right.
I haven't saw him in the expected session.
You haven't seen him? No. It doesn't matter though, because no, actually you haven't missed anything, because they're not being selected on that trial match. I'm pretty sure they're not being selected on that trial match.
I have seen Shardul bowling while practicing.
You saw Shardul bowling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting about him. He certainly is worth considering, but they've got already so many bowlers, and if they're going to play Jadeja and Ashwin, there's no hope for Shardul on that basis. Okay. India will definitely lose the Test Championship due to lack of practice in England conditions, so chances are very narrow. What's your thoughts? No, I don't agree. I don't think it's that conclusive at all. I don't think the practice is really... Don't forget, New Zealand only had really 1 game with all their players. In both cases, they've had New Zealand rested almost more than half the team in the second match. And there was some injured, they reckon. So I don't think necessarily they've done a hell of a lot of practice, really. And the warm-up game between the 2 sets of Indian players will get rid of some cobwebs and will be good enough practice. Not selection-wise, but they've got enough practice. They're both not much different to each other. I don't think it's going to be overwhelming. And I think if New Zealand go into the game mentally thinking that we've had practice, we're more ready, well, that's wrong. They shouldn't underestimate India. So Deborah's back saying that Shardul will most likely play. Well, I won't be disappointed if he does play, but I don't think he will. There's a lot. Both teams have a brilliant bowling lineup, but the difference in the New Zealand batsmen are used to what the fast bowlers. Okay, it is a valid point, but in particular, there are 2 batsmen that New Zealand are standing out: Conway and absolutely, or Ross Taylor got 80, but Conway and Will Young, they're the 2. If you're talking about New Zealand, because not only have they played well for New Zealand, they've also played well in county cricket. And that's New Zealand. So that's England conditions. So that's where the relevance. So I get that point. That's probably the closest point. It is 50-50. We're talking about conjecture here. We can't really say anything at this point. We don't know. Winning the toss, though, guys. Actually, how important do you think winning the toss is?
Yeah, winning the toss is really important. But I don't think Kohli will win the toss. Definitely, he will lose.
It's a fair point. He hasn't had much luck with winning the toss, has he?
Yeah.
Sure. So that would mean New Zealand potentially wins the toss through luck. And
With
New
the toss
Zealand will.
first, obviously.
Yeah, there's no doubt that either team will bat first. Because the first hour will be the most iffy. They get through that, they should be able to bat well for the first day, I think, and that will put the position. If the team batting first, New Zealand or India get more than 300 to 350 or plus that, they're in the position to win the match. Very unlikely that they're going to be beat.
But you see, India is good for chasing, so it might be an advantage.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Possibly, it'll depend on the conditions though. But yeah, you've got a point there. I'll take that point on. A lot of people are suggesting they're 11, so let's have a look. Let's have a look here. Okay. So Biragamunai is actually saying his best 11 looking at the overcast conditions. Gilroy, Pujara, Vihat, Rahani punt. That's expected. Rahul. So you got two keepers there. I don't know. Ashwin, Siraj, Ishant, Bumrah. So you got KL Rahul as opposed to Jadeja, effectively. Now, if it comes down to those two, Jadeja will win out. Why? Because he can bowl, he can bat, and he can field. Rahul's not bad.
And fielder in the world.
Sorry?
He's the best fielder in the world.
Jadeja by 100 miles.
So I don't think Ashwin, comparing Ashwin and Jadeja, I think they will definitely choose Jadeja over Ashwin.
I think you're right, but I don't think they're going to leave Ashwin out because of the importance of the game. I think they won't be leaving him out. Yeah, Santner, that was not only is Santner he's not playing, he's not even in the 15. So from bizarre, because Santner was the first person chosen in the first test match. Yet he was injured supposedly in the second match he didn't play. Interesting why they would have done that. I don't know why they would have done it. Anyway, Santner shouldn't play. And Patel's only played the one match. No, I wouldn't put him in either. Williamson can bowl. Okay. Shardul is a natural swing bowler who can swing, which almost amongst the bowling partners of India. If Bhuvi was fit, then he makes it in. Yeah, Bhuvi would have been a great bowler in these conditions, I must say. Munchie. Previously, I would have said win the toss and bat, given the weather. It could be a chance to bowl. Why, Munchie? Why are you saying that? Explain why you would say that. Because I'm curious about that one. I'm curious about that. Okay, Champions Trophy, 2019 ODI semi-final in England, swing conditions against Horned India. I tell you what, that's a very good point. Look. Yeah. Well, I'm not looking not down. I get your point about the overcast conditions, but if the team that bats first can actually survive an early period of good swing bowling, they then have the chance to score relatively big, which puts the pressure on the team batting second. That's my thoughts, Munchie. So what do you think about it? Looking up, not down, I get that, but I don't think it's a matter of the pitch being the deciding factor here. It is the overcast conditions, but it's the mentality. And any final in a test match of any sort, you bat first. I think that's the safest, not only the safest, but it's the most courageous way to play too. So you're saying if it's cloudy and overcast, there would be a temptation to bowl first. I tell you what, if you bowl first and they stuff it up and they don't take wickets, they're going to regret that decision for the rest of the test match. So I don't think that's a risk that I would like to take, but that's just me. That's my thoughts on that. What do you guys think? You've got to tell me what you think too. Nalakshi, what do you think? Would you bat or bowl first?
Ultimately, it depends on the openers. If they set the platform pretty well, then definitely they have the chance of taking away the game from the opposition.
And that's exactly right. New Zealand have two left-arm opening batsmen, which will not be really in favour of the... Siraj doesn't bowl badly left-handers, and so does Ishant. But really, that's your key. You're absolutely right. The opening partnership is crucial for both sides. And I, at this very moment in time, Conway and Latham are probably slightly ahead of Gill and Sharma a little bit ahead.
I agree. And you see, Shardul is good against the left-arm batters.
Is he? Okay, well then we
Shardul.
might consider Shardul.
Fine. Did you see India? He was really good against the England left-arm.
No, it's a good point. I rather like what you're saying then, Nalakshi. That's if you're saying because of but so you're saying that Shardul will bowl early on.
Yeah.
Interesting. It'll be interesting if they did do that. That would be very interesting. I think that would be a rather bold move, and I'd be very curious to see whether they'll do that. That's a very interesting point. Okay. Ajit Mitra is saying that Trent Bolt is the key. Look, they bowl in partnerships generally, like Anderson and Broad, like the Hazelwoods and the Starks with Cummins. And I think the fact is Trent Bolt bowls particularly well in tandem with Southey and then ultimately with Wagner. So, yes, Bolt is certainly one of the keys, but I think you're going to talk about an out-and-out key. I think it's actually Southey. I think it's Southey, but they're both. Trent Bolt was a little bit underdone in that match, the second test match. He was a little bit underdone. He didn't bowl that well, but that may be good. He may have needed the practice. I grant that. So maybe it's something to do with that. Okay. Okay, so as much as he's going to head off, he said a lot in the first 40 minutes anyway. That was great.
Munching.
So opening with Ashwin, no. No, this is not a one-day match. No, I can't see it. Maybe, no, I don't. It's unlikely. So we have, this is a very good point, Ruben R. We're not talking about punt much at all here. Punt, if New Zealand bowl spinners, heaven help them. Punt will tear them apart. It'll tear the fast bowlers apart too. So punt's influence is enormous because he's virtually giving India an extra batsman because he's a batting all-rounder. Watling is too, you would argue, but it's interesting. Jadeja and Punt are serious players, and they're very, very good in the field, and they'll be very worthwhile having. Okay. So Kusal Malik, how can you connect with a video call? I don't know you, so I can't put you on that easily. So, hey, mate, post this. Indian fans don't mind losing to either West Indies or New Zealanders. I don't know why you're even considering that. This is a World Test Championship. They will mind losing to anyone because it'll be very disturbing for India if they lose against any side. And they don't want to do that. India will be there. It's going to be an all barrels blazing. There's going to be guns blazing. There's going to be all feet forward. There are going to be injuries or play-through injuries. I'm excited to see the difficulty of the match they're going to get through. I think it's brilliant. So there's no way that India will be happy to lose to anyone, especially not. I don't care who they like to lose against. Yeah, Ashwin's record against left-handers is a significant factor, as is Shardul's, as you said, Nalakshi. And Tamay Tiwari, you're right. Indian openers have a big role. I'm a little bit concerned because Sharma and Gill against good swing bowling will actually nick. And that's very disturbing for me. I said earlier on, guys, some people may not have heard that. Nalakshi, you were obviously here for that. The fact that New Zealand have come out and announced their 15-man squad and come out and said Santner's not even in the 15-man squad is quite bold and showing strength. But India should do the same. India need to be fair as New Zealand's fair, and the ICC should step in here and have both teams announce their 15 and not allow that, because that allows India to play some last-minute games. Well, I don't really want that to be a part of the discussion. So I would like to see India announce their 15 today, tomorrow latest, but today should have been today.
I don't think they will
announce their team.
Yeah, I don't think India will announce. They will announce just before the match.
Welcome, Naresh.
Hi. Good evening, Norman.
Are you in Nalakshi? You know Nalakshi, don't you?
Sorry?
Hi.
You know Nalakshi?
Hi. No, we're meeting for the first time.
Okay. We both have got long hair. That's all I can. Now, listen, both Nalakshi and I, with a bunch of number of people, have been talking about the announcement of the 15-man squad for the New Zealand. Now, of course, I should let you all know Naresh is from the Barmy Army, but he has a great standing on his own feet, a great commentator, great knowledgeable man of cricket, so I'm very glad to have him. And he's come in for the second hour of the interviews, or our video here today. So, Naresh, what do you think about the fact that New Zealand have announced their 15-man squad, leaving Santner out, but India have not announced a squad? Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, they have announced it. I mean, if there was any deadline to be done, that's why they've done it, or they have just gone ahead and done it. But yeah, Santner not being there is surprising. Could be injury related, or maybe Patel's last test performance has influenced that decision, because he did well in Edgbaston. So they feel that could be the reason, and they want to go with only that one option if they want to play a spinner.
But doesn't it also tell you that they're going to have no spinner at all, potentially?
Yeah, that's what. Either they go with one or none. So that's the reason they've taken just one in this squad of 15.
So in terms of replacement players, if there's an injury, if there's a concussion rule, you can bring another player in the squad, can't you? Correct?
Yeah, concussion, yes.
Only on that basis.
Only on that basis, yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is the fact that they've left Santner out, injury or no injury, almost tells me that they're not going to play Patel. I really don't think they're going to play Patel.
I think that they'll take a call probably after looking at the pitch, because they are traveling to Southampton. India is already based out of Southampton, so they probably will have a look. They might have reached today. They might be having some practice sessions.
I've seen video footage today.
Yeah,
in fact,
so
Saban, who was on air. Saban was here earlier. He's left. He's coming back. He actually showed video footage of them arriving today. Yeah,
so they'll probably have a practice session today, later, or probably tomorrow morning. Then probably they'll take the decision of either playing or not playing a spinner at all.
It's interesting. We're saying that New Zealand have had more practice in England before India, but India's been camped at Southampton the whole time. You would argue they're more ready for the conditions of Southampton than even New Zealand are.
Tough one. Norman, in the end, New Zealand has played international cricket coming into the final, and India is playing inter-squad. There's a huge difference in these two things. And New Zealand played a very good English side. England didn't do well, but it's a good side. They haven't played, say, Sri Lanka or Bangladesh. With due respect, they are still to make a lot of progress in Test cricket. So I would still say New Zealand goes in more prepared.
Yeah. The danger is that New Zealand have any form of confidence thinking they've got the upper hand is actually dangerous. That's going to be relevant. All forms off the deck. It's due to those 4, 5 days, 6 days of cricket. Nalakshi and I were talking earlier too, Naresh, about, do you think the Test match will go more than 4 days? It
would be good if it does, and that's why being a neutral ground, they would like to have a good balance between bat and ball. ICC owns this game, so they would want to look at the game go into the 4th, or probably even if it goes into the 5th with a result expected. That's going to be good, because there is some rain expected. We may see some stoppages due to rain, but yeah. A good Test match, both innings, you can say close to 40 wickets. I think we want to see that kind of a grand finale.
But when have we ever watched a game in England, honestly, without some sort of rain clouding the issue? It's not exactly a shock, is it?
No, it's expected. They have to, the teams factor that into the strategy of how they want to approach the game, especially if there are rain breakages. The batsmen, they need to kind of go back in as if they are starting fresh their inning. Those things are there. And that is why I feel the pitch is not going to be too much of a talk about, because it is a neutral. It is the other conditions that's going to influence your decisions. Like if New Zealand doesn't play a spinner, it's purely because they expect it to be overcast throughout 5 days. it's going to be those kind of decisions. Nothing to do with the pitch. Pitch will play very, very equal to both bat and ball.
Absolutely. Now, there's a man here called Diva Protum. Sorry, there's a man called Diva Protum who keeps asking the same question 100 times. Because you're asking 100 times doesn't make it's going to be prioritised anymore. Don't spam. But you're asking a prediction of KL Rahul playing. It's unlikely he's playing in the match. Full stop.
He's not playing.
No, he's not playing. Nalakshi.
No, I was saying even if New Zealand doesn't choose a spinner, then it doesn't matter because Kane Williamson can also bowl.
Yeah, Williamson's not a bad bowler, is he, Naresh? I would agree with what Nalakshi's saying there.
Yeah. But Norman, it's again a risk that the forecast might say something, and in reality something else may happen. If you remember, India Australia, Gaba also had the rains predicted for two days, and we hardly saw any rain.
That's true.
And if the pitch is decent, where both the captains feel that it will go into the fourth, fifth day, I think Williamson should play a spinner, because if the game goes into the fourth day, if your four seamers cannot do the job, a fifth one is not going to do it. So you need a spinner for that.
Okay. So yeah, that's. So you're saying it's an absolute risk for New Zealand not to have a spinner, because India will definitely have to.
Yeah.
But don't you think Ajaz Patel will be cannon fodder for punts? Oh my God, punts! Perfect. His type of bowling will suit punt down to the ground.
That's true.
That's the danger. If Patel comes on and punts batting, or in fact, any of the top order Indian batsmen face him, they'll tear him apart. I really think that, and I think he'll be quickly bowled out of the attack, and then India will have ascendancy. So there's your other weakness. What you've described, not having a spinner, but having a spinner that gets belted out of the attack, which India are capable of doing on any track. I think that's more of a danger to me. Hence why I wouldn't select it.
Yeah, but then who does he pick the fifth? Yeah.
Well,
sorry,
go on, Archie.
Yeah, Rishabh Pant is really good for spinners. We have seen against England, Jack Leach, how he batted well against him, and even Nathan Lyon.
Oh,
so
true.
I think, Ajaz Patel plays, then really India has the advantage.
So, Naresh, who would your bowlers be then for New Zealand? Who are you saying your bowlers should be?
Saudi, Jamieson, Bolt, and Wagner.
Okay.
And the fifth one is open. Then And that's the other thing Williamson has to see. Does he want to get a little bit of batting? Then obviously de Grandum comes in, because Patel or Henry won't help much with the bat. But this New Zealand tail has done well against India. With the bat also, they do get some runs, and they did that against England also in this test. Few of them did get few 20s, 30s. So that. He may just factor that in before deciding his fifth bowler.
Yeah, I see your point, but the reality is that de Grandhomme was rested for the second test for a reason. I think with preparation for the World Test Championship. So I think that is a bit of an early indication of the relationship with him playing. Matt Henry did very well, not unlike Will Young, but they're probably going to find them both hard to get into the side. And New Zealand are likely to keep the same batting and bowling lineups in full, as you described, and the spinning department is where the problem is. They've shown their hand by not having Santner in the last 15. They're showing us something.
Yeah.
Because if they were seriously considering spinners, they would have had Santner and Patel in that 15-man squad. Because it's a 15-man squad. 4 players are not playing anyway.
Anyways,
the fact that they dropped him out altogether tells me that they're really not. It could well have been Matt Henry got his way in. It could well have been Matt Henry pushed his way in on his performance.
Could be, yeah.
At least into the 15-man squad. Okay. The discussion about Susie Kumar, what's his name read out? Okay, Susie Kumar, I've just read your name out. That's what you want, we're done. Okay, done. All right. So India lost the 2014 World Cup. Okay. So that's why I fear knockouts. Well, it's not a knockout because it's a finalist. There's no
It's a
knockout.
final, yeah.
A final is not a knockout. You're not being knocked out of everything. You either win or you lose the final. You don't get knocked out. So this is not a knockout. They've made it.
Yeah.
They've actually broken through the semi-final curse. They're in the final. So that's not relevant either. If that makes sense. And really, on statistics, the team who made the final and has won more is who? India. Haven't they?
Yes.
And New Zealand haven't won anything. They won a championship trophy or Champions Trophy, but that's not really a World Cup. This is a World Cup, isn't it, Naresh? We talked earlier actually about this. This is a World Cup Test Championship. It's not just It's not just a World Test Championship. It's a World Cup.
World Cup, yeah.
I don't know why they didn't use the word cup. They should have. World Cup Test Championship. I'd be happy with that. Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a great way of putting it. Test World Cup. Why wouldn't you call it the Test World Cup? T20 World Cup, 50 over World Cup, 50 over World Cup, Test World Cup. I like that. Don't you, Naresh? It's consistent.
Yeah, that's really good.
I think it's very good. No, actually.
Yeah,
all right. Any other comments? Naresh, did you see the discussion that was put forward about? Well, there's a women's test tomorrow as well.
India versus England
in Bristol. Yeah. And Mithali Raj is still there. She's going to play longer than Tendulkar while she's going. Do you follow women's cricket, Naresh? No, actually, I hope you do. Do you?
Yeah, I do a bit. I do a bit. I don't know whether Nilakshi is following women's cricket.
Nilakshi,
just little.
Well, you need to do more. Not that you have to, but I was there at the Women's World Cup last year.
March 8th. Yeah.
The day after, we were in lockdown almost immediately. So I had to fly back that Sunday night from Melbourne to Sydney. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten back. So, yeah, it's an interesting. And India versus England. And England have got a good side. It's going to be interesting as well because India are not a bad side at all either. And it will be interesting how it can be very exciting to watch our women's test match. I reckon that'll be a very, very exciting thing to see. I think there's a lot more technique involved, a lot more mental play, a lot more.
Yeah, how they will do in the longer format, because they don't play that much of test cricket, So that's going to be very important how they do. And especially India has gotten a lot of youngsters in the women's squad also. So how they are going to cope up playing the longer format, building an inning. And rather, there was some interviews and comments because both these teams traveled together in the chartered flight. So I think they've interacted a lot with the Indian men's squad. Ajinkya Rahane has given a lot of his experience of how to build an inning in a test game. So it's going to be interesting on how that goes through.
Absolutely. I think it's fantastic. It's a great thing to see. So, all right. Now, today's date is the 15th, isn't it? 15th. Yeah. So effectively, we've got this is Tuesday, the 15th, Wednesday, 16th, Thursday, 17th, and the match starts on the 18th. So we'll have 2 more sessions to come up. And Naresh, did you put your teams in the feedback section of the last video? No.
No, I haven't. We just discussed the Indian squad yesterday when Gil was around here.
Right. You need to, and both Nilakshi, I want you to, not in the live chat, but in the post-match, where the area where you can put feedback and make comments, put it there, okay?
Sure, right? Sure. We'll do that, yeah.
For both sides. And if you have reasons, if you have unusual selections, let us know why.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think? Who will New Zealand will pick? Conway or Blundell? Well, it's pretty clear. It's Conway. Very clear. Yeah. Although Tom Blundell, I mean, really, Watling, out of respect to Watling, is playing because it's his last match.
Last match, correct.
So they're giving him a fair send-off. Let's put it that way. But really, Blundell's probably a better keeper now and a better batter than Watling. So on the basis of that, Blundell will play from that match forward. Imagine the New Zealand side in the future. Conway at opening. Will Young at first drop potentially. And Blundell and Nichols.
Yeah.
When Ross Taylor goes, and you'll have the ability then to have a batting side. And when Taylor and Watling goes, you've got Young and you've got the likes of Blundell to come in. New Zealand aren't weakened at all.
They're not weak at all. Yeah. And yesterday when we were having that short discussion about England versus New Zealand, that is where I think England is getting a little weaker. That entire middle order inexperience. It's rotating around Root, but there is no one like today. If you see Williamson and Taylor, they are the backbone of the batting lineup. Equivalent, you have Pujara and Virat Kohli for India. But England, besides Root, that experience is lacking, and that they need to really build up quickly for them to do well in the Ashes. So I think that second inning, especially the second inning in this last test, that got exposed.
Absolutely, Pope, Lawrence batted well in part, but not consistently enough. Not when it counted, I guess. Not that second innings in the second test was abysmal. They all basically fell apart.
Yeah.
The only batsman who really is consistent is Rory Burns at this point.
Rory Burns, yeah.
Sibling, okay. Zach Crawley's been awful. Sorry, Lexi?
No, Zach Crawley is not out of form. I don't know if he will be selected. I don't see a chance.
Well, when it comes to the India-England series, it's going to be interesting because Zach Crawley better get his act together because Dawood Milan is waiting to take his place.
Yes.
And even Sam Billings is another player that's been left out. I think that Ollie Pope, Dan Lawrence, Zach Crawley, and even Sibley, those four batters need to get their act together more consistently. It's only really Rory Burns and, of course, Root, because of his history, certainties. And they more importantly miss Ben Stokes. He's extremely important to that team. He's like India's Jadeja, really. Ben Stokes in terms of importance, because he fields well, he bats well, and he bowls well. So you really have got a triple whammy there, haven't you? All right, let's have a look at some of this. Okay, back to the girls. Shafil Verma needs to stand for 2C. Yeah, if she can bat, she's a great player, actually. Hang on, I've just stuffed up here. Hang on. Beg your pardon. Oh, I'm back. All right, I just lost everything. Okay. Yeah, that young girl, she's pretty good. She's a big hitter, but this is a test match.
Yes, yeah.
I'm going to see how she plays in a test match, which will be a different kettle of fish. So, playing 3 consecutive ICC World Cup tournaments, major tournament finals, need to appreciate New Zealand. Yeah, New Zealand, they almost won the 2019 World Cup. They played in the 15 World Cup as well in Australia, didn't they? Yeah. They made a lot of finals, the poor buggers. They keep losing. The 2019 World Cup, I think they should have won that.
Yeah. They really played good cricket in 2019, that World Cup. Yeah. Even the game against West Indies, probably that was the best game of the ICC World Cup until the final. New Zealand, West Indies, where Brathwaite nearly took it, but Trent Bolt taking that blinder of a catch on the boundary. So they did very well all round in the 2019. And the final went the way it went. But that doesn't take away the credit what Patel Gamers is saying. Yes, they have been extremely consistent and they have built very well since 2015. McCullen's handover to Williamson has been very, very smooth, and they, even they have a very good bench strength. We have been talking since the past 6 months about the Indian bench strength, but even New Zealand have a very similar good headache to have on the selection.
Absolutely. I mean, my only little concern is not Williamson's captaincy ability and also Latham's support, but it's actually Williamson's batting has been pretty ordinary for some time now. And his preoccupation on his captaincy, I think, maybe weighing down a bit. Could we see Latham taking the captaincy and Williamson just playing. Interesting.
Both have a similar story, right? Virat and Williamson, because they have set such high standards with the bat. We haven't seen hundreds now for some time, and we feel that there is some pressure when it comes to leading the side. Williamson, there was some question mark when they lost 3-0 to Australia during this Test Championship.
Yeah.
When they toured Australia, they lost all the 3 Test matches. There was some debate about the captaincy, but India toured after that, and they won both the Test matches within 3 days. So I still feel he has his job safe. It won't be such a major move, because in the end he's still taking the team to the final.
Oh, look, yeah. I mean, look, the fact that Williamson's there, he may play as a co-captain. I don't think that's a problem. Because if it frees Williamson up just to worry about his batting, that could be even more deadly for New Zealand. Now, Sharari Guthrie, he's with us a lot, and he talks about Ajaz Patel versus Ashwin battle. I don't see there being any battle between those two, because Ashwin would win hands down. Patel's not experienced enough. How many Test matches has Patel played? I don't remember him playing very many at all. Do you know?
No, I think the last 4. He played the last 4 at home, right, against West Indies and Pakistan, and then they've come to England. Yeah, no, very few.
Yes.
But yeah, to answer that for Sherai, is Patel is not still sure to play in the 11. But Ashwin is definitely playing in the 11. So.
No, but if those two come up against each other, they're not going to battle each other, because one's miles ahead of the other. Let's be honest. It's not going to be an issue. I don't think it'll create any grief to Ashwin. Ashwin's come across bigger fishes to fry in his performances, so I don't think we've got an issue there at all, to be honest. But we'll wait and see. Mayank Agarwal keeps coming up as a question whether he'll go in place of Gill. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
No, you don't think so? But you like Gill, actually. That's a different story.
What? You
like Gill?
Yeah, as a player, yeah.
All right. Let's have a look. Is Siraj in the playing 11? It would shock me if he's not. Would you agree? The fact that Kohli was talking about him, Siraj is the punt of the bowling attack, in my opinion. He can be a match winner. Do you think? You're not sure?
No, Norman, because it will be good if India goes with 3 seamers and 2 spinners, because Jadeja and Ashwin should play. So the 3 could be any of these 4: Bumrah, Shami, Ishant, Siraj. So either 3 of the 4 should be fine. So if Siraj is not in the 11, it shouldn't be a shocker, because Shami was not playing because of injury. After that Adelaide Test, he was the last one to, probably he was retired hurt. He got that hit. Otherwise, all bowlers are doing very well. You don't see any bowler not in form, compared to Mayank Agarwal, because we can say he is not in form. But bowlers all have done well, so they can only pick few. So few will be left out. So he plays good, he doesn't play, still it's good, because the others are doing equally good.
Yeah, I don't think there's a loss if he's. I get your point. My only concern is that I think Siraj has got an X factor about him at the moment. Shami and Ishant have all proven performance. We know that. Even Bumrah's a proven performer. He's also an X factor. But Siraj is really the so-called the emerging X factor. That makes any sense. He has a lot more to prove than Ishant, Shami, or Bumrah. And that could be important in a match like this. It really could. You need a bright spark in the team to ignite them.
Yeah.
And that's what I think you do need. A bit like what Punt does to the batting. Similar situation.
Yeah.
New Zealand, well, they've got Conway and potentially Young that can do that. In the bowling department, well, Jamieson was certainly one that you would consider in that same boat as well. And Matt Henry played out of his skin in the second Test match because he had something to prove. You want players like that in the team that are pushing forward. not just tried and tested.
The only thing about Shami, Norman, is because after the first test at Adelaide, there have been 7 test matches he couldn't play because of the injury. That gap could be the only reason India would prefer Siraj, because Siraj has been on a high since the Australia tour. He's been on a high. So as you say, that mentality of Siraj going into the final may work in India's favor more, because Shami will have to reprove his fitness as well as his get back his rhythm. He played a little bit of IPL, but honestly, he was a bit off color. But yeah, that's different. It's a T20 white ball. So, but Shami does very well against left-hand batsmen. So these are the things that needs to be factored in.
Both teams have got good headaches, haven't they?
Very
Both
good
teams have got
headaches,
too many good players. It's not based on not having enough good players. They've got too many. My only concern is, though, that they overthink things in their selections. They've got to keep it simple. Have a plan of attack and execute on the plan. And that's important. I think that the mental state of the players is very important. I don't think, honestly, that Kohli, Rahane or Sharma, and in the New Zealand case, Williamson and Ross Taylor will be where the game is won. I actually think it'll be the other players that will win that in the batting stakes.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And I also want to say this. I want to really say this. I'll make it really clear. Let's compartmentalize. That means keep the World Test Championship here on the left, separate from the 5 Test matches, England and India on the right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because if you start to confuse yourself and think, oh, Rahul should be there. Well, maybe forget that for the moment. It'll be the Test series. We'll think about that, right? Not the Test Championship. Whether Shami's fit or not. Well, no, we can't worry about that at the moment. This is the big game. The players have to go all out, even if they get injured. They have to go all out, even if they are somewhat injured. They need to be in the team. This needs your best 11 on the paddock. Even if they're carrying injury, they need to explode and play this like there's no game following. They can't have an eye on the next series at all. And that's
absolutely
why.
Agree, yeah.
Does that make sense? So the way that you and I and Nalakshi and many other people are talking about, they've got this mindset of a Test series coming up. Shardul is not playing. He's over there. Akshar Patel is over there. In the case of let's say in the batting department, Agarwal's over there. Washington Sunder's over there. These are not being considered here because this is the best 11 on the track. Siraj is being included because he's in form and is a red-hot player at the moment that should be in the side. That's why he should be there. And do you understand my mentality difference? We've got to think about just the World Test Championship and forget everything else. Leave the rest of it over there. Otherwise, you get confused.
You get confused. I agree. Completely agree, Norman. Yeah.
And I'm hearing commentary about, what about this player? What about that player? Well, yeah, fine. Next series. Not this one-off match. It's extremely important that they win at all costs. And if Shami's the best bowler and he's slightly injured, still playing. Does that make sense? If he's the best player who can produce that miracle delivery, he may not play for the rest of the series. I don't know, but this game is going to be more important.
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it, Naresh? Because it's going to break all the high performance management discussions we have. Rest him, don't play him, blah, blah. It's irrelevant.
No, the question, doesn't arise. The question of rest doesn't arise because firstly, the IPL got called off. They had extra 20 days there. Now they are together having the inter-squad games. All of them need to be focused about this game, and the England test starts another month later, or rather more than a month. It's in August. So I think that's too far away to even think of. So as you say, yes, they have to go with the best 11, which they feel is their best strength. Not go as per opponent's weakness or anything. As per what is your strength, your belief that these 11 is going to get us a win.
And that is exactly why Jadeja and Ashwin will both be in there, because they are the best 2 bowlers in the Indian lineup. Bumrah's not at their level. And I don't care if they were leg spinners, off spinners, medium pace fastball. That's not relevant. They are the best two bowlers they're wicket taking bowlers, and working together could be the most effective.
And they can do well with the bat
as well, under pressure.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's if India go on with that mentality, they've got a better chance. But I tell you what, I'm expecting big things from Sharma and Gill, because they are extremely important to that batting order. If they don't start well and they lose 2 or 3 quick wickets and put pressure on Pujara, Kohli and Rahane, under the English conditions, with New Zealand bowling 4 or 5 pace bowlers that year, they're going to be found out.
that's true. Yeah.
And you know what's going to happen? You're going to have potentially Pujara will survive, and Jadeja at the back will support him, and they'll resurrect the innings. I'm kind of thinking that if India don't bat well, it's going to be a Pujara, Jadeja, and Ashwin surviving.
And Pant also.
Sorry?
And Pant, yeah. Yeah, and Nilakshi's point on Rishabh Pant, you cannot end a batting lineup at number 6 at Pant. That's adding pressure on Pant. With Jadeja, Ashwin to follow, you will see the best of Pant come out. He needs that cushion after him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Pant also needs people around him, though. He does need batters around him. He can't do it all on his own. And even the tail end, he did exceptionally well, we know, in the Gabba test with the tail. Exceptionally well. But he did bat with Pujara for a long time, didn't he?
For a long time, yeah. Even in Sydney.
Yeah. But then Sydney was, you know what? The Gabba was amazing because of the way that Pant played and Siraj bowled and Shardul and Washington was fantastic.
Yeah.
But do you know what was more significant than that? What was the most significant part of the series prior to that last test? What was the most significant moment? Was, in fact, Vihari and Ashwin surviving on that last day. That was extremely important, because if Australia won that test match, well, the last match wouldn't have been the same.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that innings I was there. It was monumental. Vihari could barely walk.
Yeah.
Ashwin kept one end. That's what I want to see in this match.
And in
That's what I want to see.
And in the
Sorry?
Gabba test, I really like the combination of Gill and Pujara, like how they were batting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the performances of Washington and Shardul with their 60s and their 3 or 4 wickets. I've got a video. Have you seen that video? I don't know whether you've seen that one. I've got one that's got 1 million views on it. It's a combination of me with Sri Harsha. 1 million views. Okay. Have a look at that, Naresh. I'll send you a link.
Sure.
The way that the Australians talked about the Test series was romantic. It is so lovely. I was blessed to interview people on the street that had that full capture of how it went. It is beautiful. It really is. I'm very proud of that. Not because I didn't say anything; they said everything. It was the way they said it was just magnificent.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good question. Himanshu Chowdhury, who's often on our show, when is the ICC needs to step in today and say, okay, India, New Zealand's announced their 15, where's yours?
And that's what it is. Is there a deadline given to announce sides? We don't know, because when India was in Australia, India just went on and announced their sides more than a day earlier than the test match started. Australia never did. So we don't know whether there is any kind of a rule with a deadline of announcing side, or is it just in the morning at the toss you exchange the side?
Well, but we're talking about the 15-man squad. We're not talking about the 11. But you've said it beautifully. In the series in Australia, India came out early, despite having 9 players out. They still came out early and announced their side, and Australia didn't. New Zealand here have taken the bold step and announced their side. Psychologically, it's a bit psychological. I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
If you hold back, it just gives a perception that you don't want to get the other side, that you're not sure. Right?
But I think we should expect ours also by tomorrow, probably. Yeah, we still have.
I would say so.
Yeah, 3 days to go. Yeah, could be tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, really, it should go down from 15 to 13, shouldn't it? I think it's very interesting to see what happens there. But it's New Zealand. The way that New Zealand declared against England in the first test was bold, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The way they won the second test. Sorry?
They seem more confident.
Yep. And the way they won that second test match. I don't think
No,
New Zealand are not.
Against their squad.
Yeah, exactly. They changed their squad totally. But New Zealand are not going to play the World Test Championship to draw.
I don't think either team would. Yeah, that's correct. Both the teams, the way they play the brand of cricket today, I think they want to win, and that's the beauty about the whole concept of World Test Championship. Captains want to win. Captains' strategies are changing on how to approach every test.
Absolutely. I hate to say it, but very much like Australia used to be. Other sides weren't always that way. Maybe the West Indies back in the 70s, 80s. Yeah. Australia from that point onwards for a long, long, long time. No one else really did that. But now, India in particular, certainly England and New Zealand are in that mode. Sri Lanka may have been in 96 when they beat Australia. It's great to see. And if I want to talk about arguing anything, Australia's lost their mojo.
Mm.
They're going to have to sort their captaincy out. Tim Paine's not strong enough, and they haven't got a replacement. So that's really quite critical.
That's the one. Yeah.
I mean, Tim Paine will be captaining Australia for the Afghanistan test in Hobart, which is his home ground, and he'll be the captain of the Ashes series. I think that's pretty much decided now, and we'll see what happens after that. You know, and that's fair to Paine, I guess. Although he was given a lot of headaches from India. Oh my God! Remember that test in Sydney when Punt was batting and he said, "We'll see how you go in the Gabba, mate. We're going to beat you in the Gabba," and that he came back.
I think that was that was to Ashwin. You know, and Ashwin was batting. He said, "Yes,
or Punt. I'm not sure. Yeah,
I think it was Ashwin. Yeah,
that was a sarcastic, stupid comment. Wait to get the Gabba, pal. We're going to smash you there. And Ashwin survived that mentally, drew the game. That's
Ashwin played a trick. He didn't play at Gava. He was injured.
That's true. That's true. But I'll tell you what, Ashwin, that's the reason why we should have Ashwin on the side. He is a fighter. He's mentally extremely strong. And Jadeja. And, okay. We're talking about a lot of players, bowling, batting, whatever. The biggest thing is the right mental strength and approach. And players like, obviously, Kohli, but Jadeja, Ashwin, they've got that mental strength. Ishant Sharma as well. And even Siraj. Absolutely. All right. Are there any other... Okay, now this is okay. I think KL and Mayank should open. Rohit is in good form, but problem is that Bolt is very impressive in swing conditions, especially against Rohit. His record against Rohit is good. Okay, if they were to drop Rohit Sharma and put in Gill and put in and Agarwal and Rahul, that'll be it'll cause bedlam.
But I think Rohit has the best practice against Bolt because they play for Mumbai Indians together. So
and Jamison too.
Jamison for Virat, yeah. But that won't happen. That's not going to solve the problem because India, whoever is going to open is going to face the issue facing the swing. Bolt and Jamison are really good with the new ball and Saudi. The benefit of Rohit Sharma and Gill are their ability to hit horizontal shots. A little shot and they will really attack the ball. Gill proved that in Australia. Mayank was struggling. He was playing too early and the swing was beating him. So I feel if Rohit is there in the side, he has to open. Otherwise, he shouldn't be playing Test cricket.
But have you got any concerns about Rohit Sharma and Gill you got any concerns?
No, I agree with Saurabh on the swing conditions, but they have to mitigate that. The Rohit has the experience to do that. 2019 World Cup, India started against South Africa playing in Southampton. Entire day was overcast, and Rohit got 100. So his experience and the ability to play long needs to work in India's advantage. So if Rohit can survive that first session whenever he bats, we can expect something big.
Yeah, and look, it's a bit like New Zealand have a problem because they've got Will Young and they've got Blundell. They've got a whole plethora of batsmen who they want to get into the side, and bowlers as well. Same thing goes with India. They've got Rahul, they've got Agarwal, they've got bowlers that can try and get into the team. They've got Shardul, they've got Washington. They've got too many good players. Both teams, great. It's why they are number 1 and 2 in the world. Because I can assure you, Australia haven't got any players knocking on the door to make the side at the moment.
And KL Rahul hasn't played Test cricket now for ages. He was there in the Australia squad. He never got an opportunity. Gaba was one match for an opportunity because many were injured. Even KL got injured. Coming back to India, he didn't play against England. He played a little bit of IPL. Again, there he had a medical situation. So KL hasn't played red ball for a very long time. Mayank Agarwal, the weakness got exposed against seam. So I really doubt if Virat would take that risk. Though Mayank's, it looked he has fixed his technique, but I don't think it's a game to try and test. It's a game to just play what you feel is your best. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, I'm just going to answer a few questions. Someone was asking about. Sorry?
I'm going to go now.
Okay. Nilakshi, you've been fantastic. You've been on a long time. That's your longest session, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right, Nilakshi, thanks. Nilakshi and I will have a chat now. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Nilakshi. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. She's pretty good. She's come a long way, that girl. She's been. I picked her out of all the fans in a fan rotation. It's good to see someone develop, and she's so dedicated, and that's why I like to give someone a chance. All right, let's get out some serious business here. If England had qualified for the World Test Championship, should they play in England? First answer to that is they didn't qualify, so we don't need to discuss it. Secondly, if the location's England, the location was England.
Yeah,
it's not based on England being favoured. It would have been neutral people arranging the pitch anywhere. So I don't think that would have been an issue. That's to answer that question. And some people are putting too many times they put that down. We won't see a joke in the fact Washington. Look, Naresh, we have to be careful here. India were forced at the Gabba game to put a lot of new players in, weren't they? They were forced. And they did it magnificently. Now they're not forced because they got everybody back.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that? Will they throw in a surprise?
I don't see that. Ashwin has been your leading wicket taker in this championship. In these 2 years, he's leading with, I think, 67 wickets. He's in the top 5 of all the bowlers. And the experience, the experience of all these guys counts for this final. They've come a long way. It's 2 years is a long cycle. Players get into form, they get out of form, they get injured. So I don't see why they should, kind of even consider not playing Ashwin. I don't see that.
And then on that basis, Jadeja has to be in with him because they're a bowling tandem. They bowl well together.
Jadeja, you don't look at the pitch or the clouds in the sky. He's fit. He has to play, whatever the conditions. Yeah, Jadeja has to play.
Exactly. They're big match players. They are proven big match players, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Jadeja could have pulled that semi-final against New Zealand in 2019 all by himself. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Are you excited about this match?
Oh yes, I'm excited for the fact that I like the concept to give some meaning to Test cricket, and secondly, would like to see a good 4 to 5 days of good Test cricket, because we have seen how these players react in a T20 or an ODI World Cups when they are, in that stage of semi-finals, finals. We want to see those reactions in Test cricket. The importance of getting a wicket, and importance of defending a total, or say for example, Gaba was a final game. Can you imagine where it would have been, that level of cricket? 300 odd
that is
needed on the
really,
last day.
there's no doubt that Test match will go down in history as being one of the best Test matches ever, because of the and I want you to watch that video that I've got 1 million views on, and you'll understand why 1 million people watch this, because the way that the Australians explained what they felt was so emotive. I'll actually, while I'm talking to you, I'll send it to you. It's such a. So you haven't seen it?
No, not the one which you're mentioning about. Yeah, but I saw a lot of other videos where.
Oh, there's many videos.
Many videos. Yeah.
I mean, there's ones that have got 50 million. I'm not saying mine's unique, but I think coming from Australians, though, to hear Australians saying it is what I'm getting at. That's where I think it's most significant. That's where you have an incredible. I'm gonna post it again. It's one of those ones where I know you've heard plenty of examples. Have you heard too many Australian reactions to them, though? Have you heard this?
Not many. Yeah.
This was something special. I'm going to flick it to you now, actually.
Sure.
I'm having a look. Where are you here? I'm going to find you on my list. So what are you doing for the match itself? Are you going to be watching it glued to a television set?
Yeah, that's what it is, Norman. Still partly under lockdown here, and not moving out much from the house. So yeah, definitely, it's a 3:30 p.m. start in India. As per the India time, so it goes on to until 11 in the night.
So
yeah,
3:30 p.m. starting time.
Yeah, India time. Yeah,
which is that's 7 p.m. my time.
Yeah.
So effectively,
8 p.m. right? 4.5. You're ahead 4.5 Sydney.
8 p.m. That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So I would be starting a session at about 6 or 7 my time. I mean a pre-match.
Okay, you're doing a pre-match. Yeah.
Yeah. Which would be either 1:30, probably 1:30 your time. 2 hours before we'll start a long discussion leading into the match. It'll be very exciting. Okay. All right. Have you got any other thoughts, Naresh? Because I think we're going to ask him if you call. What about? Let's have a look here. Okay. The weather update. We've been told by Munchie, who was here earlier, and even David Graveney from a previous day, that it'll be overcast and is expected to have rain. But as we all know, that rain might be for half a day, not at all, for 2 days. We don't know. But there's likely to be some interruption. But we've got a full 6th day there as support. Yeah. And I don't think we're going to need it. Kumshar, we've talked about 11s there. Gil, Rowett, Pujar, that's pretty much what I would agree with that side. That's probably the optimum side, except for Ishant Sharma. That's the only variable.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to go in? Ishant Sharma included in that 11 or not?
I would like to see him play. He's done well in England. He's done well this championship. But yeah, that's the point. You have to pick 3 out of 4 fast bowlers. So, and I think this could be Ishant's last tour of England.
And this could well be the last one for even Sharmi too.
We'll have to see how he does. He's coming back from an injury after a long time.
So okay. Are we picking players based on sentimentality or on form? That's an interesting question. Ross Taylor on form shouldn't be in the team. Maybe you would argue.
Yeah.
But he's there. And there's like some Will Young should be. So that's an interesting
Yeah,
question.
you have to balance the experience also, because it's a big game. It's a very big game. You have to put some weightage to the experience in those conditions. As I said, Ishant has done very well in England. Um, Against New Zealand, in New Zealand, he was the only one to get a fiver. Otherwise, India was not doing well at all on the tour.
That's a very good point. That's very relevant. I think that, but if Kohli's telling us that Siraj and Shami are both in, are we saying that Bumrah's not?
I don't know. Is if his thought is to play only one spinner, but then who's going to be that spinner?
No.
Does he
I'm
want
not
to
saying,
play?
no, I'm saying Ashwin and Jadeja are in with
They should be in.
3 bowlers. Could they leave Bumrah out?
I don't think so. Bumrah could be left out. I don't think so.
But someone has to be left out.
Yeah, that's why we'll have to wait and watch. What's his 11? He did make a comment on Siraj that Siraj is definitely playing, but then who is the one who won't play amongst these three? Who's mentioned by Kups Sharma. Yeah.
And I hope he didn't base it on the form that he saw in that intra match, because that's not a real game. Playing against your own players is never a real game.
But from the bowler's perspective, it's lots to do with the rhythm on how they feel on that day. Even if they're bowling in the nets, how they feel, how are they, where are they pitching the ball, their line, their lengths. That really matters. The rhythm matters a lot, even in the nets.
So would a bowler could Kohli and Shastri go up to the bowlers and say, "Are you feeling up to it?" and make a decision based on how they reply? You ever think so?
I'm sure all are up to it. All want to be part
That's
of
what
the
I'm
final.
saying.
So
That's
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
It's
What you're
left
saying
to
the bowlers feel on the day. They're not going to admit to not playing.
it's up to Virat and Shastri to decide on the seam attack.
Well, Siraj is in. That means Sharma, Shami, and Bumrah are fighting out 2 spots.
Yeah.
Interesting. (2021) Headingley 2019. Are we talking about Headingley? Is that where Ben Stokes performed well? Is that the game we're talking about? Or no, we're talking Headingley 19. What was that match? I'm trying to think what that one was. If it was anything to do with
it was the Ashes, right? Headingley was the 2019 after World Cup was the Ashes.
Century.
Yeah, Ben Stokes.
Oh,
century,
look.
Yeah.
I still go with the Gabba. There were 9 players out. Okay.
Yeah, from the situation perspective, yeah.
And 3 or 4 players chipped in, if not 5, unsung heroes chipped in. Like Natarajan, Shardul, Washington, Punch, you could argue, Siraj. That had more significance. Although Ben Stokes' performance was out of this world, but that's one man. I don't know whether you can,
But I think if Himanshu goes on the ICC website, ICC did a survey kind of to choose the best. I think they took 16 test matches, and they had a knockout kind of from, say, like a pre-quarters to a quarters. And these 2 last games came as a final, and Gaba got the maximum votes.
Yeah.
So these 2 were close to each other as the top 2 best test matches played in modern cricket.
I mean, I'm Australian, and I thought the Gabba was it, regardless of being in Australia. Okay, somebody's asked me about my shooting on my shots, on my contents around Coogee. Yes, I have done some at Harris Park. I've done 2 or 3 videos there, but it doesn't matter, because if I go to Harris Park, I get a lot of Indian people. If you want me to talk to Indian people, that's okay. I can do that. But I've only gone to Coogee because you get a different cross section of people. That's all. I can do both. I've done both. I've done at least 3 videos in Harris Park as well. Okay, we've already answered this question. Agarwal's not playing. Not that he's not good enough, just Gill's in front. Punt will win the match. I still think I'd love to see, if New Zealand were audacious enough to have a spinner like Patel, I'd love to see Punt go crazy and score a big 100 almost off the back of a spin bowler. That'll be nice to see. What they're playing with a Duke's ball, are they? Is that
Dukes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be severely in favour of bowlers.
Yeah.
That really, really tips it in favour of the bowling lineups, and we're going to see a result. With a Duke's ball, we're going to see a result. I'm sorry to say, India or New Zealand will have a very low set of scores in one of the innings. The team that bats first has to win the toss and bat to 300 to have any chance of.
Yeah, you need to bat first in 300, and that's what the captain then dictates the entire game. The captain who gets a 300 in the first inning would dictate the entire game. But yeah, on the ball, Duke's swings mode, the shine lasts for a longer time, and movement is there. Yeah, and then add the weather bit, slight drizzle, the pitch gets some moisture, and you start all over again. So.
Oh boy, the wickets are going to fall. I'm sorry, the wickets are going to fall.
Yeah.
I reckon the wickets are going to fall big time. If a batsman gets a 50 or an 80, they'll be doing very well. Honestly, but notice Conway in the first Test match got his double 100 in the first innings. Rory Burns got it in his first innings. That's where the key timing of the match will be for sure. All right, Naresh, how are you going with time? Are you okay? Can you talk longer, or you got to go?
Yep, probably another 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so let's have a look here.
Yes, a very good team.
Oh, New Zealand's going to test India big time, and I've said. Someone says, "Oh no, there's one guy. There's one guy on this list. I've told him before. AH. I'm not saying your name. AH, because it's a very bad name, and I've told you to, if you want to be a part of this, to change your name, put a real name there. Okay, so Yashnit Bansal, I didn't make your comment before.
Yashnit Bansal.
I think I did so. Okay. Rohit and Pant
can one-handedly win the match. They have the capacity to win a match single-handedly. Yes, Krishna? Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is where punt is going to be increasingly important, because all the bowlers of New Zealand, maybe Bolt's the exception, will suit him in the way they bowl. The swing will be generally coming into the bat, not moving away from the bat. Maybe Southey can do it as well, but the reality is that that's where punt could take them apart. And once the ball's a bit older, even though they're meant to be more swing as it gets older, the issue will be that punts can take them apart. So can Rohit, but I predict that the upper order of India and New Zealand will find it difficult in this match. It's going to take a punt, a Jadeja, an Ashwin, and maybe Pujara if he lasts to do the job. I'm quite concerned about Rohit, Rahane, Virat, and Gill, because they're likely to nick a lot. I reckon at least one of the innings, those four are going to fail. Hopefully in the other innings they perform well, but I think there's going to be failures. Does that make sense? The bowling.
I agree. Yeah.
The bowling's too good, and their batters are too good. They'll get the edge because they're capable of getting the edge. It's a very interesting dynamic. You're too good if you're a really good batter, you're also very good when it comes to getting an edge. You and I would probably miss the ball completely, but they're good enough to get the ball on an edge, which is where the New Zealand bowlers will be banking on. Okay, who are your top three players from both sides, Naresh, and why? In terms of match winners or importance, or match winners and importance.
Okay, top three. I would still rate Pujara very, very important for India, because the others can revolve around him, and we have seen that the kind of innings he can build. And here we will again see some short ball stuff taken by Pujara. Pant, as mentioned by Krishna, he can single-handedly change the game, play the attacking game. And Jadeja, who's so versatile, also has the capability of all-round making an impact. So these three for India can, if they can do what their roles and their best capabilities, can make a difference.
So in order, are you saying Pujara's first?
Yes. Pant and Jadeja.
Okay. That's from India. What about New Zealand?
New Zealand, yes, Williamson is a big match player for sure. Williamson, his experience.
Are you talking about his batting or his captaincy?
Both put together. Both put together. Williamson, he could just come off to score a big 100, in this game. We don't know.
Wow. You know what? If he scores 100 or Punch scores 100, let's say, they're going to have a moment in time, a moment in history that no one can take away from them. To win a World Test Championship, the inaugural one, it'll be like Viv Richards and Clive Lloyd winning the first 50 over World Cup.
I completely agree. Yeah. So Williamson, and I'm considering from the fact that how dangerous they could be to the opponent. So Williamson becomes important there. Tim Southee, he's done very well in this championship. 51 wickets, I think he's got in these 2 years of playing Test Championship. He really troubled India a lot when India toured. At least in the red ball, the white ball didn't go much in his favor. And Jamieson could be.
Okay.
Because India hasn't played much. He made his debut, I think, when India toured New Zealand. Not much of exposure of Jamieson to the other Indian batsmen except for Virat Kohli at the nets. So, Southee, Jamieson, Williamson.
So what you better write this down, because you've got a job in the comment section to put that in after it. You're going to put your 11s in for both teams and your top three. Let's go through them again. You've picked Pujara, Punt, and Jadeja.
Yeah.
You've picked Williamson, Southee, and Jamieson. Okay. For me, I could jokingly say punt, but I won't. I think Punt, without a doubt, is one of the most influential players on the field for India. I actually think Jadeja, I agree with you with Jadeja. Pujara, I would normally say him, but I actually think we're going to play more emphasis on one of the bowlers. And this, because the need to take wickets will be very important. And I'm actually saying Siraj over Pujara.
Okay.
So I would say Punt, Jadeja, and Siraj.
Okay.
As opposed to Pujara, although Pujara is right up there. When it comes to New Zealand, I think Conway is going to be more important than Williamson because Conway's in form and he needs to produce that. Yeah. If he scores a couple of hundred against India, they haven't got a hope.
Yeah.
It won't happen. Well, you never know. It could happen. He's just done.
And left-handers have done well against India, but it's again Ashwin who will be the trump card to bowl to the left-handers. So that's going to be a good contest.
So I'm saying Conway. I agree with Southee for sure. But you know what? My surprise match winner, almost Ian Botham-like, is actually de Grandhomme.
De Grandhomme, okay.
Because he can excel in the batting towards the end of the innings when they most need it, if they collapse early. And his bowling, albeit much slower, is very potent on swinging or moving wickets.
Moving wickets. Yeah.
He has this. He's a bit like there was a guy called Ellison who used to play for England. Did you ever see him?
No, I haven't. Yeah.
Well, he was back in the. I can't remember his first name, but we're talking 30 years ago.
Okay.
He bowled slow, medium paces. He swung the ball like a banana, and he tore Australia apart with some amazingly accurate yet moving deliveries that always caught the edge. Someone of that, in fact, the slower pace might put off a Kohli, a Rahane, or a Rohit Sharma or Gill. They won't be used to a ball swinging and slower. And it almost adds more weight to even Shardul playing. But I've got to think about de Grandhomme. I think he's a bit of a match winner surprise packet for me. So they're my players. All right. I would say that we're looking at very. It's exciting. I think this is. I've always wanted to have a final of Test cricket. I've always wanted that because I didn't think we ever had that, and I used to always wonder why. How come I got a World Cup for 50 over for 20 overs? Why not for Test cricket? And we haven't now. And I don't care how the teams got there. You can argue that the cows go home that Australia should have got in, Australia should have got in, or this. No, these two teams are it. That's it. And look, England have lost to New Zealand just now. Australia haven't played a game. They're both 3 and 4. Well, I don't understand. I know points are relevant there, but Australia jumped England by doing nothing. That's illogical to me. Anyway, So I'm very excited. So you're going to be available, Naresh, over the next few days, or at least during the match itself, at the different time slots?
Yeah, I could be available, yeah.
But the post-match, we're going to do a distinct post-match one.
Okay. Every day, post the day's play?
Well, it's a test. It's a test climax. We deserves it.
Okay.
We'll see how we go. We'll see how that pans. That's the plan, though. I think it deserves it, don't you? They're going to be, if it's a washed-out day, we won't be talking about anything. But
Yeah.
if it's full of action, it'll be a lot to talk about, I reckon. All right, Rose, I'll let you go. I think you've been involved beautifully today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I
Thank you,
appreciate
Norman.
you
Thank you
being
for
here.
having me. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you in the next few days, but keep tuned. Naresh is a great mind, very well spoken, very nice to listen to too.
Thank you very much, Norman. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks, Naresh.
Thank you.
All right, guys, you've got me left for a little bit of time, another 5 minutes or so. So in summary, we've got the Indian teams and the New Zealand teams. A lot of discussion about the batting orders and the bowling orders. India won't change too much. The only change will be where Siraj fits in the bowling lineup, but otherwise you're going to play two spinners, you're going to have the same batting order. There won't be any change. Shown by the intra-squad match. New Zealand, on the other hand, have a bit of a handful, whether their major issues, whether they play a spinner or not. And have they, by getting rid of Santner already, they've put it all on Patel, and the responsibility is there whether he will actually play. And I don't think he will. Williamson will probably bowl slow bowling, and they've got the ground who bowls a beautiful little line length, so there's a lot to be said by both those players. So, all right, guys, we're just going to wrap up now. I'll see if there's any last questions that I put up. Yeah, New Zealand is certainly a strong team. Yeah, don't you think that Kohli is due for big runs? So is Rowett. Batsman win the match, since we already know that bowlers will rule. Whoever stands up, plays longer, will win. I agree. But I'm not putting pressure on Rowett Sharma being the winner of the day, or Kohli being the winner of the day, or for that matter, Williamson or Ross Taylor. They're kind of the four top batters at both sides who we expect to do well. And there's a lot of pressure on Pujara as well, and even Punt. But I think they all need to bat well, and we can't rely on one. If one, the captaincy of Kohli and Williamson are where the real money is, and that's where the real issue is in terms of time. So that's what we're looking at there as well. So, all right, guys, in summary, please all view, like, and share the posts. Make sure you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. I would appreciate that. It allows me. We're looking at who's the biggest run scorer. The biggest run scorer will be a combination of players, but I think Punt will stand out there. And Kohli will be under great pressure. You're right. Rajiv Margaret, Kohli's under great pressure. So please view, like, and share the videos that I've got. I've got quite a few that are going really well. Also, make sure that we subscribe and share this to your WhatsApp groups, to your other platforms, your other social media networks, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, your personal emails, whatever it might be, messages. Share them around, share the links around, and make this channel grow. And I appreciate that. For Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnek, you see it there in front of me. We've also got a lot of other merchandise to come. Please, if you want to become a member, please do. You'll get more out of that. Subscribing is certainly a good start, though. And I think we deservedly can talk more about the way that the matches turn out. So this is Norman Kochnek here, saying goodbye. Now, I just want to answer the last one. Okay. Pitch Curator said that it will have pace, bounce, and carry with no spin. Well, he hasn't said that, actually. He said that there may be spin as well. So pace, bounce, and carry will only play into the bowler's hands anyway. So that's certainly been the case. Okay, I'm going to answer 3 more questions. You guys have got 6 minutes to ask me 3 more questions for me to answer. So I'm going to wait for 3 more questions to come, 3 new questions to come. Thank you too, guys. I'll give another chance for 3 questions, and then we'll wrap up. Talk about Punt. Rishabh Punt, okay, is by far the biggest match winner India have had for a long time, since probably the likes of a Dhoni. But not in the short format alone, in Test cricket as well, proven by the Gabba Test. That Test match will go down as one of the greatest Test matches in history, and Punt was front and centre. And he'll be, again, front and centre Test match. There'll be a twist and a turn, and Punt will be the one that will prove to be the winner for that match. I can assure you, Punt is one of the top three. I think I said Punt, Jadeja, and I said Siraj. Pujara is obviously the two. Patel Games, you love my channel. Thank you very much. Whose batting lineup is better? I would argue that the best of the lineup, if so, New Zealand, a little bit. India, potentially as well. It's so hard. They're very close. Anya Norman, okay, I got you. That's a very Aussie way of saying. But the likely Test teams, I'll put them in the actual commentary after. The difference between Cricket Australia and the Australian Cricket. Cricket Australia is the board. Australian Cricketers Association is the players' representation. So that's what the difference is. The Australian Cricketers Association basically is the cricketers and their needs and wants in a leadership group, like a union. And Cricket Australia is the actual governing board, which is meant to be transparent, but maybe not is. So Chris is not here because he's back tomorrow probably. Okay, we've got plenty of other people coming online. We can't have them every day. We're going to have a big panel coming up. Key factor is Pujara for India. He certainly is right up there. He's certainly one of the best factors for sure. Absolutely. Should New Zealand play 4 or 5 paces looking for everyone? Yes, they probably will play 4. They probably will play 4. That is Southey, Bolt, Wagner, and Jamieson. Matt Henry, unlikely. More likely to Grantham. And then there's no spinner. All right. Okay. Last question. Do you believe that Rishabh Pant is currently the best wicket batsman in the world? He's better than De Kock. I have to say for sure. He's a match winner. De Kock's a good player, but he's the captain badly, by the way. And of course, we'll see more of Rishabh Pant's captaincy when it comes to the last 31 matches of the IPL, which will be in September to October. That'll be where Delhi Capitals will come into play, and we'll be talking more about that then. Oh my God, that's going to be tiring. We went through 29 matches in a row. That was tiring enough. So a further 31 to go in that tournament. Oh boy. No, because we've talked about the best of 3 championship. It won't be, and it shouldn't be because of logistics. But the sheer understanding of a final, like an IPL final or a soccer final, is one game, winner takes all. Makes it more exciting, and it's the best way to deal with it. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about there. So, I think it's time that I go, guys. I think I'm just about petered out now. We've had almost 2 hours of discussion, and it's been very fruitful, and there's been good commentary from everybody. No, I don't think it should be. I've mentioned that question before. It won't be a best of 3 Test match series for the World Test Championship final, which will be called the World Cup, the Test World Cup. Should be called. And it should only be one. I'll make that very, very clear. It should only be one. One match, and that's all it should be. All right? All right, guys. We might leave on that note. Everything's gone really well. And we've got some questions in there about people loving Pat Cummins, which is interesting because Pat Cummins is selling. I've got his own little show going on too. He's not doing badly at all. All right, guys. We're going to end with discussion on view, like, and share the post. Subscribe if you're on my show and you're not subscribing. I don't understand why, because when you hit the subscribe button and the notification button, you're aware of these videos, and there's live shows every day. So the show will be on every day. Today being the 15th. The 15th, isn't it? The 15th. It is the 15th. Yep. The 15th is today. Tomorrow is the 16th, which is Wednesday, 17th. So we'll have 2 more shows at this time, sort of 9 p.m. my time, which is 4:30 p.m. Indian time. And then we'll go to the first day of the test, which will be on the 18th, which will be, I think, a 3:30, an hour earlier start. So we may be on a couple of earlies, like a 1:30 start, especially for the first day's play. That's the plan, guys. All right. So, yeah, so quick legend, we've been talking about this already. You know that if you make the comments you're making in the live chat on the actual commentary post, please. That's really important to me. So when I'm about to finish this session, when you finish there, go to the post session comments and comment in there. That's where we see the longer live chats also there, but the other commentaries where people will see post the session. So again, view, like, and share. Also go about subscribing. Share the idea of this links to people and make them go about subscribing to grow the channel. Go to the comment section after, and also look at the so-called area, which is called not commentary. What's it called? There's a certain section it's called. I'm going to find this. It's a certain section of the community part of the channel. I have regular posts there as well. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks. This is Norman Koshnik signing off. View, like, and share. Subscribe. Hit the notification button and share the broadcast. Everything. So all the best. All the best. We'll leave you with Virat Kohli as the name. We'll talk tomorrow, 9 o'clock tomorrow. All right, guys. Take care. All the best. Bye.